Most women think divorce is just about the end of a relationship. The emotional fallout, the heartbreak, the awkward conversations with friends and family. It all feels so heavy that the legal details seem like just one more chore on a long list. But what if I told you that buried in those legal details are time bombs? Things that don't go off right away. Things that might sit quietly in the background. Until one day 5 or 10 years down the line they explode. And when they do, it's usually too late to fix them. The truth is, divorce is not just a breakup. It's a business deal. And if you don't know what to look out for, the system, the paperwork, and sometimes even your own lawyer can leave you exposed. These aren't just mistakes that hurt in the moment. These are the kind that can destroy your finances, your retirement, your future security, even your legal control over your own life. You might think you've covered everything. You signed the papers, maybe even felt relief. But the traps we're about to talk about? They're not obvious. In fact, most women only learn about them after the damage is done. When the bank account is drained, when their ex shows up in court years later, or when their own estate is still in his name. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 of the most overlooked legal traps that women fall into during divorce. Some of these are hidden in fine print. Some are disguised as standard clauses. But all of them can cost you something valuable. And sometimes irreversible. Stay with me until the end, because if even one of these applies to you or someone you love, you'll want to fix it now, before it's too late. This isn't just legal advice. It's a warning. One that most women never get. Let's begin. Most women don't realize that their ex can still inherit everything, even years after the divorce, simply because they forgot to update a form. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens more often than you'd think. Retirement accounts, life insurance policies, even investment portfolios often have a beneficiary designation that overrides your will. That means if your ex-husband's name is still listed as the beneficiary, he's legally entitled to the money. No matter what your divorce agreement says, no matter what your will says, and no matter how long it's been since you spoke. Imagine this. A woman named Claire finalizes her divorce, thinking everything is behind her. She rewrites her will, sets up a trust for her kids, and moves on with her life. But she forgets one thing. Her 401k still lists her ex-husband as the primary beneficiary. Years later, she passes away unexpectedly. Her children, thinking they'll inherit her retirement savings, are blindsided when the money goes directly to the ex. Why? Because the law sees that beneficiary designation as a contract. And once that contract is in place, it takes priority, even over your final wishes. What makes this trap so dangerous is how easy it is to overlook. These forms aren't updated automatically in divorce proceedings. No one reminds you to do it. And many women assume their divorce decree takes care of it. It doesn't. If your ex is still named on any of your financial documents, he could legally walk away with everything you spent years building. So how do you avoid this? You go through every account, every life insurance policy, retirement plan, and investment, and check who the beneficiaries are. Then you update them to reflect your new wishes. It takes less than an hour, but it could be the difference between protecting your legacy or handing it back to the very person you divorced. And the worst part? Many women don't find out they missed this step until someone they love is left empty-handed. But this is just the beginning. Because even if your documents are updated, there's another trap waiting that could quietly strip you of your financial security. Let's talk about that next. On paper, a 50-50 split might look fair. But in reality, what you walk away with in a divorce can be wildly unequal. Especially if you don't understand how different assets actually work. Too often, women agree to what seems like an even deal, only to discover years later that they got the short end of the stick. Take this common example. One spouse keeps the house, the other takes the retirement account. Both are valued at, say, $400,000. Seems equal, right? Not even close. The house comes with ongoing costs, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and a market that might not appreciate as expected. Meanwhile, the retirement account grows, earns interest, and, depending on how it's structured, could come with significant tax advantages. Over the next decade, that account could double in value, while the house eats up cash and energy. And here's the kicker. Many women fight to keep the home, especially when kids are involved, without realizing the long-term financial burden. Mortgage payments, unexpected repairs, and the emotional toll of managing it all alone start to add up. Meanwhile, Their ex quietly benefits from compound growth and tax-deferred savings. By the time retirement hits, the gap is enormous and almost impossible to reverse. There's also the issue of hidden taxes. Not all assets are taxed the same when you access them. A Roth IRA, for instance, might be tax-free in retirement, while a traditional IRA could cost you thousands in income taxes. If you don't understand the tax implications during the split, you could walk away thinking you got half, when in reality, you got a fraction. The court won't always break it down for you. Neither will your ex. That's why having a financial advisor, or at least doing your homework, is critical. You need to understand the true, after-tax, long-term value of every asset before you sign anything. Because what looks fair now might leave you struggling later. And if that doesn't already sound risky enough, what comes next could make it even harder to recover. Especially if your income disappears after the papers are signed. Let's look at the next silent threat. Most women don't realize how much their financial life is going to change until they're already deep into it. During the marriage, many expenses are shared, and even if one spouse earned more, the household functioned with combined resources. But after the split, everything fractures, and your income might suddenly feel like it's not enough. Let's say you're awarded alimony or child support. It might sound substantial on paper, but what happens if your ex accidentally misses payments? Or loses their job? Or suddenly files for a reduction in support? It happens more often than you think. And once you're divorced, chasing down missing payments becomes your burden. The legal process to enforce it can be long, draining, and expensive, and in the meantime, your bills still come due. Worse, many women enter divorce negotiations assuming they'll just figure it out financially after. Maybe they haven't worked in years, or they only earn part-time income. But without a clear post-divorce budget and a realistic plan for increasing your earning power, financial stress builds fast. The cost of groceries, utilities, childcare, insurance, and transportation hits differently when you're the only one paying. Even things you might not think about, like health insurance, can change drastically. If you were on your spouse's plan, you could be left scrambling for coverage, often at a much higher cost. Cobra might bridge the gap temporarily, but it's expensive and only lasts a limited time. After that, you're on your own. And let's not forget credit. If all the household bills were in your ex's name, you might walk away with little or no credit history, making it hard to rent an apartment, get a car loan, or even open a credit card. And if your name was on joint accounts that your ex misused during the divorce, you could be left with the debt and the damage. Here's the reality. Divorce isn't just the end of a relationship, it's a financial reboot. And if you don't plan for that reboot in detail, the transition can leave you vulnerable and overwhelmed. Coming up next is an even trickier situation. One that can trap you legally for years, even after you thought it was over. Let's get into it. One of the most dangerous mistakes women make during divorce is assuming that debt automatically gets split fairly. Or worse, that the debt isn't theirs to worry about. But here's the truth. Just because your ex racked up the credit cards doesn't mean you're off the hook. In fact, you might still be legally responsible for it, even if it feels unfair. Many women enter negotiations focused on big-picture assets, like who gets the house, the car, or how much alimony they'll receive. But hidden beneath those headline items is a tangled web of joint accounts, co-signed loans, and credit lines you may have forgotten about. And once the divorce is finalized, if your name is still attached to any of it, creditors won't care who should pay. It'll come after whoever's listed. That means collection calls, damaged credit, or even lawsuits, long after the marriage is over. Let's say your ex took out a loan in both of your names, but always handled the payments. Now, post-divorce, he stops paying. Guess who's next in line for the bill? Or maybe you thought you were off that joint credit card. Until years later when a missed payment drags down your credit score and surprises you during a loan application. Even worse, some women agree to take on certain debts during the divorce, thinking they'll be manageable. But without understanding the interest rates, payment terms, or long-term consequences, that manageable balance can balloon quickly. And by then, the settlement is locked in, and you're stuck. It gets trickier with the house. Maybe you let your ex keep it, but your name is still on the mortgage. If he doesn't refinance or sell, your credit remains exposed for years. You could be denied loans or stuck in financial limbo, all because you didn't secure a clear legal release from the obligation. That's why every debt, no matter how small, needs to be identified, documented, and addressed in the divorce agreement. Not just who pays, but also how and when it gets removed from your name. Because in the eyes of lenders, the divorce decree means nothing. They only care about whose name is on the contract. The key takeaway? Don't assume the paperwork protects you. Protect yourself. Scrutinize every joint account, ask for full credit reports, and make sure the final agreement legally separates you from your ex's financial mistakes. Because what you don't see now could come back to haunt you when you least expect it. And next, we'll talk about something even more emotional. Something that might feel like you're doing the right thing, but could quietly cost you everything. Let's move on. Overlooking tax consequences can turn what seems like a fair split into a financial disaster down the road. When you divide assets, it's not just about who gets the house or the investments, it's about what taxes you'll owe when those assets change hands. In the rush to agree on dollar values, most women don't pause to ask, what will Uncle Sam take? Take the marital home, for example. You might negotiate that you keep the house, but if you don't sell or refinance before taking full ownership, you could miss out on the capital gains exclusion when you eventually sell. That 5-figure tax break disappears, and suddenly a chunk of your equity vanishes in a tax bill. Or consider the retirement accounts. IRA and 401k balances look like ready cash, but when transferred incorrectly, every dollar you withdraw could be subject to income tax, and early withdrawal penalties if you're under 59 and a half. Even dividing investments can backfire. Stocks with a low-cost basis might carry a massive hidden tax liability. Your ex walks away with a small paper slice of the portfolio, but you inherit the big tax hit when the stock is sold. Without calculating that future liability, your fair share may leave you scrambling to cover taxes instead of funding your next chapter. And don't forget about support payments. Alimony used to be tax-deductible for the payer and taxable income for the recipient, but that changed in 2019. If you're counting on a big deduction for your ex, it no longer exists, which can alter your ex's willingness to pay and leave you with less net income than you planned. What about personal property? Even dividing household items, jewelry, collectibles, art, can trigger sales tax or use tax obligations depending on your state. If you underestimate these costs, you could owe thousands after the divorce is final. The fix is simple in theory but often overlooked. Run every proposed division through a tax projection. Ask your attorney and financial advisor to model the after-tax outcome of each asset split. Negotiate not only the gross values but also who'll cover the tax liabilities when they come due. Include tax indemnification clauses in your agreement so that if your ex's slice carries hidden taxes, they remain responsible. By treating tax implications as a core part of your settlement, rather than an afterthought, you protect the true value of what you're walking away with. Because in divorce, a dollar left on the table today can cost you $3 in taxes tomorrow. And coming up, we'll dig into another pitfall that can quietly strip away your financial security at the worst possible moment. Thinking mediation will save you thousands can be dangerously misleading. On the surface, sitting down with a neutral third party feels faster and cheaper than a courtroom battle. But what most women don't realize is that every hour you spend in mediation or arbitration carries its own set of fees, and those costs can skyrocket when sessions drag on. Mediators typically bill by the hour, and so do the attorneys who accompany you. What starts as a simple afternoon session often becomes a marathon of meetings, calls, and document reviews that quietly drain your budget. Even worse, many arbitration clauses require you to cover not only your share but a portion of the arbitrator's entire fee. That means if your ex pushes for multiple arbitrators or wants to haul you back for extra hearings, you'll be on the hook for half of those expenses, no matter how reasonable or unreasonable their requests. Add in filing costs, expert witness fees, and expedited hearing charges, and a low-cost process can easily cost as much as, or more than, a contested court case. To protect yourself, insist on clear fee caps before you agree to any alternative dispute resolution. Negotiate a maximum daily rate, a total fee limit, and a strict timeline for finishing the process. If your ex won't agree, take that as a red flag. It may be cheaper to move the battle into court, where fees are more predictable and, in some states, capped by statute. And if you think you're covered by a flat fee retainer, read the fine print. Many flat agreements exclude administrative charges, photocopy expenses, and travel time, all of which can pile up and blow through your budget before you even realize it. By demanding full transparency on every line item, you turn what seems like a money-saving shortcut into a controlled, predictable path, and avoid the shock of an arbitration bill that wipes out the gains from your settlement. Up next, the final hidden danger that can leave you on the hook long after the divorce is signed. Your divorce may be final, but the clock is still ticking on critical deadlines. In many states, you only have a narrow window to challenge hidden assets, enforce property transfers, or modify support orders. Sometimes as little as a year. Miss that deadline, and you can kiss those claims goodbye forever. Imagine discovering your ex quietly sold a shared rental property 6 months after divorce, hiding the proceeds in a shell company. If you don't act within the statute of limitations, the courts will refuse to touch it. Similarly, if health costs surge or your ex's income spikes, you might need to petition for alimony or child support adjustments. But most jurisdictions cap modifications to within 1 to 3 years of the original decree. Wait too long, and you're stuck with outdated numbers that don't reflect real life. Worse still, many women assume that a signed judgment covers everything. They miss tiny clauses that require them to file a notice of election, or send a formal demand letter within 90 days if they spot any unpaid debts or undisclosed debts. Skip those steps, and you forfeit your right to pursue reimbursement. The solution is simple but often overlooked. Set reminders the day the final papers are signed. Mark the calendars for every statute of limitation that applies. Asset challenges, support modifications, debt claims. Talk to your attorney about filing reserve petitions or protective motions before the deadlines close. In some states, you can even petition for an extension if you can prove fraud or deliberate concealment, but you must file before the clock runs out. By treating your divorce decree as a living document rather than a one-and-done event, you guard against surprises that could cost you thousands, or more. Stay vigilant, track your timelines, and turn what feels like endless paperwork into a clear roadmap. That way, you keep control long after the ink dries, and ensure your settlement lasts as long as you do. Now that you've seen all 7 traps, from hidden debts and vague language to missed deadlines and surprise tax bills, take a moment to reflect on your own settlement. Did you skim any clauses that now make your stomach drop? Are you sure you've uncovered everything your ex might be hiding? The good news is you don't have to live with regrets. Armed with this checklist, you can revisit your decree, flag any red flag provisions, and act before it's too late. Talk to your attorney about opening discovery on questionable assets, filing reserve motions to preserve your rights, or simply setting calendar alerts so no deadline slips through the cracks. Remember, a divorce judgment isn't a one-and-done event. It's a roadmap you'll navigate for years to come. Stay alert, stay proactive, and demand the clarity you deserve. Your future financial security depends on catching these pitfalls before they catch you. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments which trap surprised you most, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a crucial update. Thanks for watching, and here's to taking control of your settlement before it's too late.